So you're in luck if you're in the market for new wedges in 2024, because there are so many great models on offer. But I've tested all the models from all the manufacturers and broken them down into 4 categories of looks, feel, forgiveness and versatility, picking out the best from each category to help you identify which ones are going to be best for your game. Now, making sure that you like the look of your wedges is super important to helping you play better golf. I know that may sound slightly ridiculous, but I'm a true believer in if you like the look of something, it will inspire confidence and help you execute better shots. But there are 3 standouts in my opinion. Now, the first of those is the Titleist Vokey SM10 wedge. These have been slightly refined from last year's SM9 model, but I think they look awesome. So they've added this little banner on the back, which gives it a new look. You know it's a new wedge, but really the looks haven't changed that much. It's a compact looking head with a slightly straighter leading edge that will really help boost confidence, especially when firing from range. Now, the second option I'm going to choose for the looks category is the Ping S159 wedge. Now, Ping have never really been known for their wedges, but I think that's all about to change. These wedges look awesome. They've got, it's such a simple, classic look. There's not much going on apart from that black banner on the back, which highlights that it is a Ping wedge. It's a compact looking head, but not as compact as the Vokey. So if you're a player who likes that thin top line, but wants like a mid-size looking compact head, this is a great option. Now, they're available in a few different finishes. Again, this is the Hydro Pearl finish, and they're also available in a black finish. But talking of black finishes, we're going to move on to my third option, which is the TaylorMade MG4. Now, these are available in 2 finishes again. You've got the satin and this black finish here, which I just think looks insane. It looks so clean, almost a modern aesthetic. The CNC mill on the sole here gives it that really premium aesthetic. The raw face here really helps you center the ball, I feel like, behind a dress. So it's got a slightly more rounded leading edge, which I've always found TaylorMade clubs normally have a straighter leading edge. So that was something that took a getting used to, especially as someone who had used the MG3 wedges last year. But again, these wedges look superb, and those 3 I think are real standouts when it comes to looks this year. Okay, so as much as you have to like how your wedges look, you have to love how they feel. And that's going to be super important to helping you dial in distance control, which is really important when it comes to wedges. So I've picked out my top 3. Now, the first is the Mizuno T24. This wedge does also look superb, but it feels amazing. It's forged from Grain Flow Forge HD boron, one piece of metal out in Japan to give it that really soft feel that we love with Mizuno irons as well. Now, I'm going to clip one here, and I hope the audio picks this up, because it just gives it that lovely kind of crisp but soft sound, and you can see how that popped up. It just feels so soft off the face. Now, they've got a straighter, more aggressive leading edge on these wedges, which will also help with more full shots. Now, if we're gonna go complete opposite, I'm gonna go for the Callaway Jaws Raw wedge. Now, these have tungsten weights in the back here to kind of center the center of gravity to produce more consistent ball flight. But Callaway claim they have the most aggressive grooves in golf. Now, that's highlighted by these kind of micro grooves that run diagonally across, creating more surface friction. But with that surface friction becomes a much firmer feel off the face. Now, I noticed that just from chipping here, but more noticeable on the longer pitch shots and fuller wedge shots. I really noticed the firmer feel. It felt much more clicky, but also produced a much more consistent kind of lower ball flight with that feel. Now, the next wedge kind of falls in between those first 2. That's the Bettinardi HLX forged wedge. Now, Bettinardi are making real strides in the kind of wedge and iron department. It'll be really interesting to see if they go into the woods. But this wedge, as you would expect from Bettinardi, feels ultra soft. It's got this really cool milling on the back, which gives it a real premium look as well. But Bettinardi are known for making really soft feeling putters with really complex kind of grooves on the face. And that kind of goes the same with these wedges here. You can kind of see the milling. They've got this CNC milling on the face as well and on the sole to really help with turf interaction, but they feel so soft when hitting full shots and shorter shots like these. And what I find so fascinating about these wedges is the fact they actually even sound soft. And I know that sounds so weird to say, but instead of that click-like feel, they even sound really soft. I mean, that one might go in. Oh, I mean, I'm someone, like I said, with the Mizuno T24 wedge, I much prefer a softer feeling wedge anyway, so this is right up my street. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe to Golf Monthly's YouTube channel so you don't miss any future videos, and a massive thank you to Brockett Hall for hosting us here today at their beautiful short game facility. Okay, now having wedges that are super versatile is really important when you're on a golf course. Now you want to have wedges that are able to handle different lies in different scenarios. Now I've highlighted 3 wedges that I feel are best for versatility. Now the first of those is the Titleist Vokey SM10 wedge. Now these wedges have 25 different loft, lie and bounce combinations, which means there's literally something for everyone. Everyone can get a Vokey wedge that will suit their game the best. Now, here we're in a greenside bunker, for example. We've got a little shot here. I've got the Vokey wedge here, which has a much straighter leading edge, which may not always be ideal for bunker play. Sometimes you want a more spoon-like edge. But like I said, there's versatility here. I've got a grind here, a D grind, which has 12 degrees of bounce. So on this soft, fluffy sand, should glide under the ball and just help pop that ball up really nicely. As you can see there, and we got a lot of spin out of that as well, and that's down to those spin milled grooves kicking in. You want something that is going to be able to handle every situation. Okay, so now we are faced greenside with a pretty dense, thick, rough shot here. I mean, if you can see here, the grass is sat right behind it. We're pitching onto a little downslope here, which makes it really difficult to control. But my next wedge for this situation is the Callaway Jaws Raw. Now this has a raw face, which will rust over time, and it's never really been known if that rustiness really helps with friction and creates more spin. But what does help is these grooves are cut at a 20-degree angle to really maximize spin and friction, as well as these small micro diagonal grooves running across the face. Let's see how we get on here. Well, it's come out the rough. I mean, I'll take that all day. We're a couple of feet away. We can save our par, and that's why these jaw wedges are really versatile. Now, imagine we have hit up to a par 5 in 2 with greenside. We've got a really good chance at getting up and down for our birdie. We've got a really tight lie. Now, that's where versatility again is so important, and for that, I have chosen the Wilson ZM Staff model wedge. Now these wedges, I have to say, look spectacular. Now they come in at a slightly cheaper price point than some of their other competitors, but they've got really nice CNC milling on the grooves here, and they are forged, so they do feel really nice off the face. There are multiple loft and lie combinations. This one has 8 degrees of bounce here, and so we should see this one just glide off the top of the turf. There's ample heel and toe relief as well, which I really like, which is really important for versatility. Now we're here, the ball's a bit above our feet, pitched onto a fairly flat lie anyway, but I'm going to just use that, the bounce on this club there. As you can see, we kind of just use the slope there, but that heel and toe relief there has allowed me to just manipulate the club face a little to make sure that sole glides across the turf really nicely. Okay, so even though this is a best players wedge video, players still need forgiveness, and they can't all be butter knives really hard to hit. Now, as much as the heads are compact, some of them do offer more forgiveness than others. Now, I've picked out, again, 3 that I feel excel in forgiveness, and the first of those is the PXG Sugar Daddy 2. Yes, Sugar Daddy, you heard me right there. This does have some weighting on the back here, so they can precisely dial in swing weight to make sure that this wedge is perfect for you. There are 2 grind options available. You've got a C grind and a BP grind. Both of these are high bounce options, which is one of the reasons why I feel like this wedge is so forgiving. Now this is the C grind that has 10 degrees of bounce, and the BP grind has 13 degrees of bounce, and that's where these wedges excel when it comes to hitting full shots. Now let's hit one and see how we get on here. We've got a 54 degree, like I said, but an 84-yard shot. And that, as you can see, I don't know if you can tell here, we're into the wind here, and that's just cut through the wind. Lovely there. So this gives you a lot more flexibility with your low point, allowing that club to really kind of glide off and through the turf. So if you are to catch one slightly heavy, that bounce will kick in and enable you to pick that ball off the turf and execute good shots from downrange. Okay, now the second most forgiving wedge I noticed this year was the new Ping S159. Now, yeah, you may not be surprised, it is a Ping. Ping are known for their forgiveness, particularly within their metalwoods, but now in their wedges as well. And I found that the insert behind the face here really helped dampen vibrations, which I felt like improved consistency. And we've hit a nice low one there that's gone straight through the wind, and it's spinning back there thanks to those grooves. But that's a great example. I've actually caught that a groove low or so, but that's exactly where I noticed this wedge to perform so well and why I think it's one of the most forgiving wedges on the market this year. I've kind of gone 5 yards past my landing spot, but upon my testing, I found like the groupings to be just so close. And no matter whether I hit it directly out the middle or slightly out the heel or toe, or even slightly low on the face like that one there, the distances proved to be very similar. Now, the third wedge, and one of the most forgiving wedges, again, that I tested this year, is the Cleveland RTX 6. Now, this has 4 different bounce options. They've kind of got low to high, essentially. So again, depending on your turf conditions, you can actually opt for a wedge that is going to benefit you in the first place. Where I really noticed it was actually the zip core grooves on this wedge here. So I noticed this wedge to be so consistent out of any kind of lie, and because of that, the forgiveness was so high, because I was getting similar spin numbers actually out of the first cut as I was off the fairway, which is kind of bizarre to say because typically you would see quite a big drop off in spin. But the similar kind of situation off this tight lie, I was seeing a really consistent ball flight. Now, when I was hitting this kind of shot here, I get that really nice kind of mid-trajectory window. But then if I was to hit one out of a first cut, I was actually seeing the same window, and I purely believe that's because of those zip core grooves kicking in, producing really, really similar spin numbers no matter the lie. So I'll flash some data up on the screen here, which will give you a good idea of what these wedges were producing in terms of spin rates, and that's coming from a 50-yard pitch shot. I tested this to take some variables out of play using a Rapsodo launch monitor actually in a net. I used a 50-yard shot, but these wedges, you do have to take with a pinch of salt this data, because I did have a mixture of 54 and 56 degree wedges. Naturally, the 56 degree wedges will produce a touch more spin, but they were the models and lofts that I had on offer at the time. So take that with a pinch of salt, like I said, but hopefully it gives you a really good understanding of kind of peak heights as well as spin numbers when it came to the wedges this year. Okay, so I've narrowed down the best 3 players' wedges to these 3 right here, and in third place is the Callaway Jaws Raw Wedge. Now, I just think this is really clever with the variable length hosels, tungsten weighting. The versatility this club offers is something that all confident players will love. And in second place, this one was really close. It's the Ping S159 wedge. This is kind of your thin top line, but kind of mid-size head that will still benefit those who want a touch more kind of confidence-inspiring looking wedge behind the ball, but it has all the performance characteristics of the best bladed wedge. Now, my overall winner is the Titleist Vokey SM10 wedge. Now, there's a reason this is the most popular wedge on tour. It's a really small, compact looking head. It's available in 4 different finishes. There's so many, I think 25 bounce, loft, grind combinations that you can put together. So there's literally something for everyone in the Titleist Vokey SM10 wedge.